What is up, everybody? It's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another cool video back in Planet Coaster in the one, the only Time City. And we are back here in the parking lots for Time City. And there's a lot to do here in the parking lot, more than I exactly expected, to be quite perfectly honest. So anyways, we get a lot done today. I actually recorded all of this in one setting. Usually I do two settings because I usually do about 2 hours at a time. This one I actually did 4 hours at a time. Somehow I got the patience to do full 4 hours, 4 full hours. So that's actually pretty impressive for me. Anyways, so basically to get this done, I wanted to get all of the tram drop-off spots very much complete. So I just wanted to get them all done pretty much. And I know I ended up redoing one of them because it didn't have the same textures as the others. And I wanted to keep them at least pretty consistent with one another. So that is one thing I wanted to do. So this one actually turned out pretty good. And I wish that I could just drag these things underneath the ground, or the stations underneath the ground just slightly, so I can, don't have to worry about doing this anymore. But that's just how it is. So anyways, this is what we have to go with and what we're gonna have to do. So anyways, this was footage from a little bit ago, and I'm starting on another episode already. So anyways, so a lot of news starting to come out with Frontier. If you guys didn't know, Planet Zoo has already been announced. I'm gonna have a separate video pretty much talking about that, but I'm pretty darn excited about that itself, and I think it's got some bright futures for Planet Coaster possibly. I've heard that most likely that's gonna have weather in it and stuff, so that'd be cool if we got weather into Planet Coaster and everything. That'd be kind of a neat thing, but we'll have to wait and see. So each and every episode, I've been working on getting more and more line work done, and some more just, traffic signals and stuff like that. So slowly but surely, we're getting all of this done within all of them. So within the next episode, we actually add the next lot. Not in this one, but the very next episode, we're going to be adding the next lot. In this episode, we really focus a lot on all of the lines and all the arrows and everything like that. And then, of course, I do work on this annoying fence and curb alongside the path for the walkway from the whatever it is, the tunnel, because in the last episode we actually created a walkway from the tunnel to all the way to the entrance of the park. So that way there's guests that are able to walk to the park if they don't want to park in the parking lot for the park itself. So there's actually a walkway that goes to the park. I feel like that makes sense. So anyways, we're going to be adding some dashed lines here because it's 2-lane traffic as well. And of course we have our own little car driving around, which is really cute and awesome. I'm pretty happy about it. It's kind of cute just how it drives around in the parking lot, and I'm pretty happy about the idea, and I think it's really cool to have in a parking lot just some, cars driving around, some trams driving around. And I do eventually am thinking about adding some more cars and have different colors, and just have multiple ones just parking in different places. But for right now, we just have the one because it's mostly a test to figure out exactly what I'm going to be doing with it totally for sure and everything. So anyways, I add some stop signs in a lot of these places, so that's a good thing to have. Because you want to make sure they're stopping at the stop signs. They don't always do, but that's just I actually think did I put a holding section there? I may have put a holding section there, I'm not sure. And then I adjusted where these guys stop at some of the crossings because they were just a little off, and I also made a couple adjustments in where they drive, and because I want them to drive in one of the lanes. I did have them driving straight down the middle, so I kind of wanted to adjust that to make sure that was kind of fixed, and not that way it makes sense while they're driving on the line. They're not in the middle of the road, or they're in one lane or the other, is kind of the way I wanted it to be. So I originally had the idea, man, maybe I can just use in-game curbs and railings for this path, but I didn't care for the look of it, so I eventually went with custom curbs and fences for the walkway. And do I regret it? Not really, but at the same time, it was so time consuming, and you're gonna see it take up a lot of the time in this episode in general. So I actually remember I had quite a few bathroom breaks in this video, unfortunately, because, you know, my stomach was actually upsetting with me. Off topic, we don't really want to talk about that, but if you see some stops in the video, that's actually why. So I just want to make sure you guys know that's why there's a couple stops. But anyways, we go into this railing, which actually looks fantastic in the end. So I think it's definitely worth the time that we putting in this fence all the way around through this path. So adding these extra things to the parking lot just added so much character to I love this parking lot now. Like before, I was kind of like, hey, it's okay, you know, I feel like I could have done better, but I'm transforming it into something that I'm actually pretty proud of, to be honest, because I started on this parking lot a long time ago. Back when we first started the park, actually, is pretty much the last time we actually were in the parking lot, you know, until now. So anyways, I'm hoping the parking lot will be fully completed within the next 2 episodes. Maybe in the next episode it might be finished. I might be able to finish it in the next episode. I'm not entirely positive. It's going to be pretty close. I have mainly just lines and filling in areas to do. So that's the main things I have to do in the parking lot. And that's about it. There's not a whole lot left to do because we added, in the next episode, we do add the new lot, which actually didn't take as long as I think it would have. But I did have to do a lot of terraforming and a lot of stuff in that. But not to talk about too much about next episode, because we're talking about this episode. So again, you're going to be seeing a lot of this right here, placing this fence along the path, but the view and just the overall look of it while you're on the path is actually pretty good. Like, I'm pretty like stoked, pretty happy of how this turned out. I don't know what it is, but I was so thrilled of how this curb and path or fencing worked with this path. You know, I just don't know what it is, but it just looks so good, and I was just so proud of it. But you're gonna see a lot of shrubbery and bushes and lots of trees going in the next few episodes, because I'm literally filling up all the little areas as much as I can. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that coming soon. So but anyways, yeah, so this is going to be a lot of this episode. Again, just all these curbs and fences. I know it's time consuming, and I know it makes for kind of a boring episode, but the payoff is worth it, guys. Trust me, when you take and put in some patience and everything like that in the game, it ends up being so worth it in the end. And I was a little bit nervous on how the park was looking at one point, but at this point I am truly confident that this park is going to be epic in the way I meant it to be. So I don't think it's gonna be close. I think we'll get the Roman section done before opening. I really do. We're just approaching very quickly, you know, faster than I would think. And we did work on Rustic City on one of our streams as well. That will take about another stream or so, so I gotta keep that in mind. And we're gonna be literally nothing but Time City probably in the very next streams. So don't really expect anything else but Time City, Time City, Time City, which a lot of you probably don't mind that, you know. You're probably like, yeah, that's actually just fine, you know, more Time City, you know. And I'm happy with this. It's just coming together, guys. And when you're zoomed outside the park and you're just looking up from above, you really start to see it come together. Every single episode I do, I'm getting it's just somehow looking super good. It's looking better and better each and every time I look at it, you know? And when I look at it from ground level, it's even more stunning because it has more of a realistic feel when you're in kind of that first person ground view, because that's how you usually would see it in real life. You know, you're not going to be able to be thousands of feet above ground, you know, looking down at your park. You know, I mean, you can, you know, from like Google Earth or like obviously in like a helicopter or plane, but just in general, when you're at a park, that's just what you normally see. So it's just kind of an interesting perspective, and it just makes everything, it's a more realistic perspective, you know, and overall. So this is kind of where I get to the point where I'm like, you know what, I think this would look a lot better if I just like shaped it up to the road like this and just have more trees and foliage and the extra sections here, or in the extra spots there, because I was like, I'm just gonna get rid of that square because it didn't look as good. Having a extra shaping to this like little drive-in spot actually made it look a lot better, and I was definitely happier with the way it turned out. And I was like, well, I gotta do it to the other side now as well, after I get that a little bit filled with some bushes and shrubbery and different stuff like that. And I was like, well, it definitely turned out, so I gotta do it to both sides. And boy, did it look a lot better, you know, just overall. I'm glad that I went back and did that, because it just makes a huge difference, I think, in total of how, and just in general of how it turned out. So I'm pretty happy with that. And anyways, a lot of foliage. I tried to go back and forth from the fences, from different things. That way I wasn't trying to just do this for hours on end, just this over and over, which ended up being the case a lot, you know. And then at one point I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to finish this up because it's just taking so darn long. So this is how it ended up being. So it's looking, I don't know what else to say, guys. I would love to hear what you guys comments in the section below. What are you guys thinking of the parking lot? Like, I know a lot of people just think parking lots are pointless in a game like this. Like, why would you spend that much time and detail just on working on a parking lot when you could be working on a park, you know, and all that stuff? You know, it just adds that extra layer of realism and detail that I just really like, you know. I do get that question quite often, you know, like, why even bother with a parking lot? You know, I'm like, it just adds so much to it. That's why. You know, it just, you know, if you don't like putting parking lots in your park, you know, that's fine. You know, you don't have to, you know, that's totally up to you. Just me personally, I just think it adds so much, especially the way I do parking lots, and having like the trams and, you know, now the cars. I think it just adds so much immersion and epicness to the park. It just adds so much, and you just see that parking lot, and it just makes the park feel more like it's, you know, there, you know. I don't know how to explain it exactly. You know, it looks like the park's connected to something, and it's not just it doesn't seem as much in the middle of nowhere as it would be, you know. That's the only thing about these biomes. It's hard to make it realistic because it feels like you're in the middle of nowhere. That's just these biomes. That's just how it feels like when you're building a park. Like, it feels like you're in the middle of nowhere. And adding a parking lot and kind of some roads and everything like that just adds to it a little bit. So I went in and deleted these like those little those things, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna put in some real ones because we got them in the Theme Makers toolkit, and these actually open and close. They're animated, so I was like, I'm gonna try and add a trigger to this, and you'll see in the next episode I try to make this work a little bit better. I actually work with it a little bit more in the next episode, but for the most part, it's actually a neat little idea that I thought would be kind of cool, is to have these little traffic stoppers or whatever they're called. I don't know the exact name or what you would call them, and I had to kind of mess with this a little bit to try and get the holding spot exactly where I wanted it, because the cars, you know, they stop a little bit before where the holding position is. It's kind of weird where they stop, but they don't stop at the very front of it. You know, it's kind of weird, but I didn't really understand how that worked. But you know, that's just how it is. But Anyways, we do a little bit more curb work, which I think this is where I go in and just say, you know what, I'm just going to go all the way to the end with this. Just go all the way. And this is kind of where it gets a little bit rough around the edges because, you know, we're going uphill and it's not uneven terrain. It makes it even harder to place each piece because I have to adjust on all axes and axis instead of just the one going back and forth. You know, I just have to keep moving it until it's in the perfect spot, and then it just keep going. And I didn't really focus on making them perfectly where I want it, or completely perfect. You know, because that would just be ridiculous. It would take way too long. And so I just decided to kind of go with my make it, you know, exceptional, and that's basically all I wanted out of it. You know, it didn't have to be perfectly angled every single time. You know, as long as you get the idea and you know you see the detail there, it doesn't have to be where you think it has to be. So I thought it turned out pretty good, and the curb looks fantastic, and I haven't even finished the fence going all the way up. You know, I don't even think I worked on it last time. So this is what I wanted to work on a little bit in this episode. I've been talking about it the last episode. So I needed to make a walkway going from the park into this lot over here because there's actually another, I have another guest spawner over there. So this was kind of tricky to kind of figure out what exactly I wanted to do because this was going to become a walkway. And it was kind of a trippy kind of walkway, but it ended up working in the ends of the way I kind of wanted it to anyways. So I was pretty happy with that, and I had to actually lift the track of the tram and the car ride up above, otherwise it does not allow me to connect or manipulate the path already that's there. For some weird reason, because you're already over the track, and you technically can't build paths over the track, but after you have the paths already placed down, you can build the track underneath those. So it's kind of weird of how it works. It's kind of buggy in a way. So I had to raise it up, and then it just did kind of give me some issues when I placed them back down, because a lot of them were seeping through, and you know, I probably didn't get it at the exact same spot that it was before. So it was kind of a challenge, but we got it back. I had to adjust a couple spots, but in the end I did get it to work properly. So that just worked overall, because the last crowd flow test I did, they ended up just walking in the middle of the road, and I wanted to make sure that they went on a you know, like a crosswalk instead. And they ended up I did another crowd flow test after this, and they actually did indeed actually use those crosswalks, which was nice. So anyways, you're gonna see a lot of more stop signs coming in, and I actually make a traffic light here pretty soon in the next episode. So kind of neat. And then of course some more dashed lines for the lanes that you'll be seeing me work on quite often throughout the next episode or so. So I'm going to be working on a lot of those lines, like a lot of those lines. There's so much to do. Like, this is where I had to adjust, because I had to, again, put the car rides back down, but I had to adjust them just slightly, and it was kind of a little bit of an annoyance, but that's just how it ended up working. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to put some tree lines down this side of the this parking lot, and it actually turned out pretty good, because I wanted this, you have these big empty lots, it's nice to have a little bit of foliage and trees somewhere in there, even if you have big lots like that. So just to end it off here, I think this is the last part, or last section of this episode, and we actually work more on the fence, and I think that's going to end it. I know this is probably a little bit of a, boring episode, but it did accomplish quite a bit when it came to just overall completion of the parking lots and everything like that. So again, hopefully it won't be much longer, and we'll have this parking lot done, guys. And after we get that done, we're gonna go hit up the Roman section and actually do some touches on it to make it look a lot better. So I have some good plans for the Roman section, and I have a lot of adjustments I want to make to make it look a lot better. So Anyways, that's going to about do it for this episode. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe for more amazing content like this. Catch me on Twitch if you want to watch these episodes live. Go follow me there. All links in the description. And of course, guys, I will see you guys in the very next episode or live stream, whichever it may be. So make sure you guys have a great day and an even cooler tomorrow. And of course, I will catch you guys in the very next live stream or video. Wait, I already said that, didn't I? Deja vu! Alright, but anyways, for real, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys again soon. Goodbye.